Every Halloween, we dress up as monsters, but what if, for some people, the monsters are real? Across decades, on this very night, people have vanished, been hunted, and murdered, their stories buried beneath candy wrappers and ghost stories. From poison trick-or-treats to ritual killings and disappearances that defy logic. These are the real crimes that turned Halloween into a living nightmare. Lock your doors, dim the lights, because tonight we're peeling back the mask of Halloween, and what's hiding underneath will haunt you long after the video ends. It was October 30th, 1975, in the exclusive enclave of Bellhaven, Greenwich, Connecticut. 15-year-old Martha Moxley was out with friends, enjoying Mischief Night. Her last known location? Across the street at the home of her wealthy neighbors, the Skakel family, relatives of the Kennedys. Martha was seen that night flirting with and kissing Thomas Skakel, age 17. The last sighting placed them together around 9:30 p.m. near the family pool. The next afternoon, on Halloween, Martha's body was found by a friend underneath a pine tree in her own backyard. She had been brutally bludgeoned and stabbed with a broken 6-iron golf club. The club was later traced to a set owned by the Skakel family. The initial investigation pointed to several people inside the Skakel home. Thomas, the last person seen with her, and the family's new live-in tutor, Kenneth Littleton. But the most enduring focus fell on Thomas's younger brother, Michael Skakel, also 15. The case went cold for decades, but the whispers never stopped. Authors and investigative journalists refused to let Martha's story die. Then, 25 years later, in the year 2000, Michael Skakel was finally arrested. The prosecution's theory centered on jealousy. Skakel had allegedly been spurned by Martha, whose diary entries noted his unwelcome advances and volatile behavior. Crucially, 2 former classmates from a treatment center testified they had heard Michael confess, with one recalling him saying, "I'm going to get away with murder. I'm a Kennedy." In 2002, Michael Skakel was convicted. Justice, it seemed, had finally arrived. But the story doesn't end there. In 2013, after serving over a decade, Skakel was granted a new trial based on inadequate legal counsel. His conviction was ultimately vacated in 2018, and in 2020, prosecutors announced he would not be retried. Michael Skakel is now a free man, having maintained his innocence throughout. But for Martha's mother, Dorothy Moxley, and her family, the fight for a conclusive answer remains. In 1974, in a quiet Texas suburb, that innocent tradition turned into every parent's worst nightmare. Meet Ronald O'Brien, a father of 2 from Deer Park, Texas. On Halloween night, he takes his kids out trick-or-treating, along with some neighborhood friends. It's a normal evening, laughter, costumes, candy everywhere. But then, something strange happens. At one house, the lights are off. No one answers the door. Still, O'Brien returns a few minutes later holding 5 giant pixie sticks candies. He says a mysterious neighbor handed them out. Later that night, his 8-year-old son, Timothy, is allowed 1 piece of candy before bed. He chooses the pixie sticks. Within minutes, Timothy starts vomiting, convulsing, and soon after, he's gone. Doctors quickly realize the cause: cyanide poisoning, a deadly chemical hidden inside the sweet powder. At first, panic spreads across the country. People fear a stranger is poisoning random Halloween candy. News stations warn parents everywhere to check their kids' treats. But the truth is even darker. Investigators soon discover none of the other candies in town were tampered with. Then all eyes turn to Ronald O'Brien himself. Turns out, O'Brien had taken out life insurance policies on his children and was drowning in debt. He had laced the pixie sticks with cyanide himself, hoping to collect the insurance money. He even gave poison candy to other kids to make it look random, but luckily, they never ate it. When police confronted him, the story unraveled. In 1984, Ronald O'Brien was executed by lethal injection, forever earning the chilling nickname, the Candyman. Since that night, every parent's been a little more cautious, checking every wrapper, every treat, all because one man turned a night of fun into a real-life horror story. It was Halloween night 2001, in State College, Pennsylvania, a town known for its college parties, not for mysteries. But for one student, Hyunjong's Cindy Song, the night of fun would turn into a chilling disappearance that still haunts investigators to this day. Cindy was a 21-year-old Penn State student, bright, cheerful, and known for her playful personality. That Halloween, she dressed up as a Playboy bunny, pink top, bunny ears, and all, ready to celebrate with friends. They hit a few parties, laughed, took photos, and around 4 a.m., one of her friends dropped her off at her apartment. Cindy waved goodbye, walked toward her door, and that's the last time anyone ever saw her. The next morning, Cindy's friends couldn't reach her. They went to her apartment. The door was locked, her purse and phone were inside, but her false eyelashes and backpack were missing. It looked like she had stepped out briefly, maybe to grab something, and just vanished. Police found no signs of a struggle, no forced entry. It was as if Cindy simply walked into the night and disappeared. Then came the rumors. Some said she might have been abducted after mistaking a car for a friend's. Others believed she was lured away by someone she met that night. A chilling lead surfaced when a witness claimed they saw a woman matching Cindy's description being forced into a car in Philadelphia, over 200 miles away, by a man named Hugo Selensky, a known criminal later tied to multiple murders. But here's the thing. No physical evidence ever linked Cindy to Selensky, and after more than 2 decades, there's still no trace of her. Her family, who immigrated from South Korea with dreams of a better life, were left broken, still searching for answers. Cindy Song's case remains one of Pennsylvania's most haunting mysteries. A night that started with laughter, candy, and costumes, ended in silence and unanswered questions. So this Halloween, while the streets fill with lights and laughter, remember Cindy Song, because sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones we make up. They're the ones that never find an ending. Halloween 1979, Southern California. While kids were out trick-or-treating, 2 men were hunting, not for candy, but for victims. Their names? Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. Together, they'd go down in history as the Toolbox Killers. The pair met in prison, bonded over their twisted fantasies, and when released, they turned those fantasies into horrifying reality. They equipped a silver GMC van, nicknamed Murder Mac, with tools, cameras, and chains, a mobile torture chamber disguised as an ordinary vehicle. In the fall of '79, the men had already abducted and murdered several young girls across California. But on Halloween night, they spotted 16-year-old Shirley Lynette Ledford standing outside a gas station in Sunland. She just left a Halloween party, cheerful, trusting, still in her costume. When Bittaker pulled up and offered her a ride home, she accepted. She never made it. What happened inside that van is beyond comprehension. For hours, Shirley was tortured using pliers, hammers, and screwdrivers, the very tools that gave the killers their nickname. Bittaker even recorded the assault on audio tape, a tape that detectives later described as one of the most disturbing things they'd ever heard. When the night ended, they dumped her body on a stranger's lawn, as if it were trash. It was a horrific Halloween message to the world, the work of 2 true monsters. Their reign of terror finally ended when Norris, racked with guilt, confessed to police weeks later, describing every detail of their crimes. In total, 5 young women lost their lives to the Toolbox Killers. Lawrence Bittaker was sentenced to death but died in prison in 2019. Roy Norris received life without parole and died behind bars a year later. But the story of Shirley Ledford remains one of Halloween's darkest real-life nightmares, a reminder that sometimes the scariest costumes hide in plain sight. The quiet town of Napa, California, a place known for its vineyards, sunshine, and peace. But behind one cozy home, something horrifying was about to unfold. A scene straight out of a nightmare. In the early hours of November 1st, police respond to a frantic 911 call. Inside a small house on Dorset Street, they find a sight that would shake the entire community. 2 women brutally murdered, and a 3rd missing. Their names were Leslie Matsara, a former beauty queen, and Adrian Insogna, an engineer. They shared the house with a third roommate, Lauren Mianza, who had fled after hearing the attack. The case would soon become known for its eerie rumors, locals whispering about a headless man haunting Napa on Halloween night. But the truth was even stranger and far more human. Detectives found blood everywhere, but no sign of forced entry. Whoever did this knew the victims. And what's chilling, he left behind a trail of cigarette butts and DNA, leading nowhere at first. For nearly a year, the case went cold. No suspects, no leads, only whispers of a masked intruder or a headless man seen wandering the streets that night, stories born from fear and mystery. Then a breakthrough. DNA from the scene matched someone close to home, Eric Koppel, the fiancé of one victim's best friend. A man who had attended the funerals, cried with the families, and even helped plant memorial trees. When confronted, Koppel confessed. He broke into the house, waited, and murdered the women in cold blood, driven by jealousy and anger. He wasn't a monster from a Halloween legend. He was a familiar face hiding in plain sight. In 2006, Eric Koppel pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. The headless man mystery was solved, not by ghosts or legends, but by human darkness. The Napa Halloween murders remain a haunting reminder. Even in the safest places, even on the happiest nights, evil can wear a familiar smile. 1981, in New York City, while the streets were filled with costumed crowds and flashing lights, inside a small apartment in Manhattan, something unspeakable was happening. A real-life horror that would baffle detectives and spark one of the strangest conspiracy theories in New York history. Just before midnight, police responded to a noise complaint at Ronald Sisman's apartment near Greenwich Village. When they arrived, they found a scene that could have been straight out of a horror movie. Inside were two bodies, Ronald, a 39-year-old photographer, and his 20-year-old student friend, Elizabeth Platzman. Both had been beaten, shot execution style, and the apartment was completely ransacked. Furniture overturned, film equipment destroyed, photos missing. Whoever did it wasn't just killing. They were searching for something. Police at first suspected drugs or robbery, but nothing added up. Ronald had connections in the photography world, and rumors began swirling that he might have had damning photos of powerful people. The kind you don't want getting out. Then came the truly chilling twist. Just weeks before the murders, a man incarcerated at Attica Prison, claiming to be a prophet, had told police about an upcoming Halloween killing in New York City. He described in eerie detail a photographer and a woman being murdered in a ritualistic fashion on Halloween night. When asked how he knew, he said the information came from none other than David Berkowitz, the infamous son of Sam serial killer. Berkowitz allegedly told fellow inmates about a satanic cult operating in New York, one that conducted ritual sacrifices and silenced anyone who knew too much. And according to him, Ronald Sisman had filmed one of their ceremonies. If true, that would explain why his home was torn apart, and why he and Elizabeth were executed. To this day, police have never confirmed whether that tape ever existed, or if the cult was real. The case remains unsolved. No arrests, no answers, just two lives brutally ended on a night meant for tricks and treats. So next time you hear the laughter and footsteps of Halloween outside your window, remember, in 1981, in the heart of New York City, two people met their fate in what some still call the Halloween Massacre. Every mystery leaves behind two stories, the one we know and the one we'll never hear. Maybe the truth is buried somewhere out there, waiting to be uncovered. Or maybe some secrets are never meant to be found. What do you think really happened? Tell me your theory in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because next time we're diving even deeper into the dark.